So, good evening. Yeah, so I'm sorry I wasn't here last week. My father died a week ago Tuesday, and the way he died was completely out of the Lam Rim. My sister and, some of the family and friends were having a birthday party for him to celebrate his 93rd birthday, which is quite an achievement. So the birthday party was the night before his birthday. And at the party, he was, my dad likes steak. So he was eating some steak, and he's 93, he has some Alzheimer's, and we think that he forgot to chew it. So he had a big piece of steak, he swallowed it, it got caught, and he choked. And, elder people don't have the gag reflex. So he passed out, like, within a minute, and was dead probably within 3 minutes. And the EMT got there after about 7.5 minutes, and all his vitals were flat, so they didn't do anything. So I was, they called and told me about it. Tuesday I was doing the prep for a colonoscopy on Wednesday morning. So for those of you who have had colonoscopies, you know what was going on. And in the middle of that, I heard that my father had died. And so Venerable Samten very kindly helped book a ticket. And then I went from the colonoscopy back here, got my suitcase into the airport to be in California where my dad lives. And so Guy taught on Thursday and Venerable Tarpa taught on Friday, and she gave a general overall introduction to the Lam Rim, so she wasn't teaching directly from the text. So if you couldn't follow in the text, that's why. Yeah, she was giving a general presentation. So today we'll continue with the text. We will do the meditation as usual at the beginning. Yeah, and I hope that you're gaining some familiarity with the meditation, not only doing it Thursday or Friday. Actually, in Singapore it's Saturday. Yeah, in Russia it's the middle of the night. But that you're, doing the practice and becoming familiar with visualizing the Buddha and creating a relationship with the Buddha in your meditation. Okay, so let's start and get our mind calm. So come back to your breath. Just watch your breath, let your mind settle down. So remember that visualizing means that you're seeing something with your mind's eye. So don't expect to see it in living technicolor. Okay. But in the space in front of you, on a precious throne, supported by 8 great lions, there is an open lotus flower and a flat moon and a flat sun disk. Those make the seat upon which our kind main spiritual mentor in the form of the Buddha Shakyamuni sits. So you think that your principal teacher takes the form of Buddha Shakyamuni. That doesn't mean the personality of your teacher is there. Yeah, when we're talking about a guru yoga practice like this, it's meaning that you try and see the nature of your teacher's mind, the nature of the Buddha's mind, and eventually the nature of your own mind as all having the same nature. So the Buddha appears in the space in front on this seat. His body's made of golden light, very radiant and beautiful. On his head is the crown protuberance, which symbolizes the amazing amount of merit he created while on the path. He has one face and 2 arms. The right hand touches the earth, and the left is in meditation posture in his lap, and it holds an alms bowl full of nectar. He wears the 3 saffron-colored monastic robes, and his body, again, which is made of pure light, is adorned with the signs and marks of a fully awakened one, and it radiates a flood of light in all directions. In fact, you can even think on all the light beams that are radiating out of the Buddha. There's other small Buddhas going out to benefit sentient beings wherever they are in the universe. The Buddha sits in the Vajra posture, and he's surrounded by your direct and indirect spiritual mentors. The direct ones being those who are your teachers, the indirect ones being the lineage masters. He's surrounded by deities, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, heroes and heroines, and an assembly of Arya Dharma protectors. So it's just a whole array of holy beings who all have the realizations of the path, and yet they all appear in these different forms. In front of the Buddha, on an exquisite stand, are his teachings in the form of books that are made of light. And then think that you're surrounded by all the sentient beings. You can think of your mother on your left, your father on your right. The people you don't get along with are in front of you. So to see the Buddha, you have to look at the people that you don't like. Okay, we have to deal with that. We have to overcome that. And think that the holy beings of the merit field are looking at you and looking at all the sentient beings with delight, with acceptance, and with compassion. And in return, at the thought of them, we have a feeling of faith and confidence in the ability of the three jewels to guide us to full awakening. And we have a sense of receptivity and eagerness and a sincere motivation that wants to learn from them. And then to create the proper motivation, then think that all the sentient beings who are seated around you, as far as space exists, from beginningless time until now, just like you, they've continuously undergone the dukkha, the unsatisfactory conditions of cyclic existence in general, as well as the overt suffering of the three lower realms in particular. And it's very difficult to really fathom what that means, what has been going on since beginningless time, due to the force of ignorance and mental afflictions and karma, polluted karma. So think, now I've attained a precious human life that is hard to attain and so meaningful once acquired. So we have a precious opportunity, and if we don't really exert ourselves to realize supreme liberation, in which all the dukkha of samsara has been overcome, if we don't realize the state of Buddhahood on the basis of our present precious human life, then once again we'll have to experience the various torments of cyclic existence in general, and the three lower realms in particular. That's a rather frightful idea. And so seeing that right now we have before us our spiritual mentor and the three jewels who can protect us from this pain. And the chief way they protect us is by teaching us the Dharma. So for the sake of all mother sentient beings, it really behooves us to do all we can to realize precious, perfect, and full awakening. And so for this purpose, from the depths of our heart, we take refuge in the spiritual mentors and in the three jewels. And as we chant the verses, we think that we're leading all sentient beings in taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. And as we chant this and think like that, contemplate the meaning of what we're saying, then imagine much light comes from the Buddhas, Dharma, and Sangha into you, into all the sentient beings, purifying you and inspiring you. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. And we'll say the four measurables and pause after them to contemplate. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings not be separated from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. And then we'll recite the 7-limb prayer, one line at a time, pausing after each line and really thinking about the meaning and doing the visualization. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. So imagine that you and all the sentient beings around you are bowing to the three jewels as a way of recognizing their excellent qualities and respecting those qualities. And present others of every type of offering, actual and mentally transformed. So imagine the whole earth and sky filled with beautiful offerings, especially the things that you hanker after, and that you are giving all of these to the three jewels without any sense of loss, and that they experience great bliss in receiving all these offerings. I confess all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time. So have a sense of regret for all the negativities that you've created today, yesterday, from beginningless time. Just open up and confess all of them. Put them all down. And rejoice in the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. So rejoice at the happiness of all other living beings. So instead of being jealous, really be glad that others are happy and that they create virtue. Please remain until cyclic existence ends. And so imagine offering a double dorje, the symbol of long life, to your teachers, to the Buddha, requesting that they always stay so that you can have contact with them and learn from them. And turn the wheel of Dharma. And so imagine offering a Dharma wheel together with your sincere request that the gurus and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas continue to teach so that you can learn the Dharma. I dedicate all the virtues of myself and others to the Great Awakening. So think of all the virtue you created and give it away. Again, practice of generosity without any sense of impoverishment. Then we'll offer the mandala. So think that we're offering the universe, everything beautiful in it. And we offer this to free ourselves from attachment and miserliness, to create merit, to learn to take delight in giving. So think of the universe, everything beautiful, and especially think of people that you're attached to or things that you're attached to, and instead of holding on to them for your own benefit, we offer them to the Three Jewels. This ground anointed with perfume flower-strewn Mount Meru, foreland, sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land. The objects of attachment, aversion, and ignorance, friends, enemies, and strangers, my body, wealth, and enjoyments, I offer these without any sense of loss. Please accept them with the pleasure and inspire me and others to be free from the three poisonous attitudes. Idam Guru Ratnam Mandalakam Niryatayami. Now think that a replica of the Buddha comes, manifests, a duplicate of the Buddha manifests from the Buddha, and comes and sits on the crown of your head facing the same direction as you. And so now you, with the Buddha on the crown of your head, are facing the merit field and making request. Glorious and precious root Guru, sit upon the lotus and moon seat on my crown, guiding me with your great kindness. Bestow upon me the attainments of your body, speech, and mind, the eyes through whom the vast scriptures are seen, supreme doors for the fortunate who would cross over to spiritual freedom. By my wise means, vibrate with compassion to the entire line of spiritual masters. I make request. Then as we recite the Buddha's mantra 7 times, think that light comes from the Buddha into you, purifying and inspiring you. You can also think that there's a Buddha on the crowns of all the sentient beings, and similarly, as we recite the mantra, light flows from those Buddhas into those sentient beings. So this is especially good to do if you know somebody who is sick or distressed. It's good to do also for the people that you're having difficulty with. Try and help them to purify, to receive the blessings of the 3 jewels. Taya ta muni muni maha muniya soha. 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 And then think that in the visualization in front of you that all the figures merge into the central figure of the Buddha. And then that Buddha comes and merges with the Buddha on the crown of your head. And so then as you're listening to the teachings, you think the Buddha's on the crown of your head. And so let's remember that we're listening to the teachings, not merely for our own benefit, but to progress along the path to full awakening, so that we can be most effective at the state of Buddhahood in being of great benefit to all other living beings. So the Singaporeans had a few questions from last week. I thought I would just answer those before we began. So somebody asked, what are the causes of the afflictions? So the word is affliction, not infliction. So these are mental afflictions such as confusion, attachment, jealousy, arrogance, anger. And the causes of them, the root cause, is the ignorance that misapprehends the nature of reality. Okay. The second question from last week is, what is the difference between spontaneous bodhicitta and a bodhisattva? Okay. When we talk about bodhicitta, we're talking about the motivation to become a fully awakened Buddha for the benefit of others. And spontaneous bodhicitta means that your mind is so well trained that whenever you see any sentient being, your instantaneous response is, maybe I become a Buddha in order to benefit them. Yeah. Right now, when we see any sentient being, our mind goes, why do they dress like that? Why do they walk like that? Is this somebody who can help me or somebody who can harm me? This is how we usually regard people because of our ignorant, egotistical mind. So the mind of bodhicitta is quite different. Yeah, a bodhisattva is someone who has this spontaneous bodhicitta. Okay, some bodhisattvas have realized the nature of reality, the emptiness of inherent existence of all phenomena. The lower level bodhisattvas have not realized that yet. Okay? And the bodhisattvas are all training to become Buddhas. So that's why they're often called the Buddha's spiritual children, or the Buddha's heirs. The idea being that, they're practicing under the guidance of the Buddha and will soon assume the same responsibility as the Buddhas have. Then the next question that they asked was, could I elaborate more on the 6 far-reaching practices? These are also called the 6 paramitas, or the 6 perfections. And this will come later on in the Lamrim. Just to list them, first one is generosity, second, ethical conduct, third, fortitude, or sometimes patience it's called, fourth, joyous effort, fifth, meditative stability, okay, and sixth, wisdom, okay. And we need to balance these in the sense that we need to practice all of them. Yeah, so it's not that you just practice the first one and ignore the other ones, okay, but we do all of them to the extent that we're able to. Yeah. And then the other question is, what are the 8 worldly concerns? Funny that you asked. Okay, the 8 worldly concerns are what we spend most of our life doing. And they're in 4 pairs. We'll come to them later on in the text, but we'll just list them right now. Okay, so the first pair is being delighted when you receive material possessions, being dejected when you don't, or when you lose them. Second is being delighted when you have praise and approval and hear nice words about yourself. and being dejected when you hear blame and disapproval and unpleasant words like criticism. The third pair is feeling delighted when you have a good image or a good reputation, to a lot of people, and dejection when we have a bad image and a bad reputation to a group of people. And then the last pair is feeling delight when we have good sensory experiences, so seeing nice things, hearing nice music, smelling nice things, tasting good food, having nice tactile sensations, and feeling upset when we have unpleasant sensory experiences. So if we look, we spend most of our time seeking the first four and seeking to get away from the other four. Okay? So most of our life is consumed in that process. And the mind is completely taken up with the happiness of this life, because those four pairs all involve the happiness of this particular life. Yeah? There's nothing wrong with being happy in this life. Yeah? But the thing is that when we're attached to that happiness and we get angry when we don't have it, or something interferes with it, then we tend to do a lot of negative actions. We'll lie to get what we want. We'll criticize people who get in our way. We'll cheat or steal to get, the things that we want, and so on. Yeah, so that attachment to the happiness of only this life really leads us down the wrong road. And when we talk about what is Dharma practice and what is not Dharma practice, the line that differentiates these two is whether our mind is filled solely with the thought of the happiness of this life or not. At the beginning of the path, we go, well, what else would my mind be filled with? Yeah, well, as you learn the Dharma, you might be thinking of future lives, or you might be motivated to attain liberation, or to attain full awakening. Yeah, but we really need to try and expand our motivation and get beyond the mind that just says, my happiness now, which is what we tend to think most of the time, right? Yeah? My happiness now. I want what I want when I want it. And the world owes it to me. And if I don't get it, I'm going to let you know I'm unhappy. In no uncertain terms. Right? True, isn't it? Okay, so a lot of, the practice of the path for us is just dealing with these 8. But that's going to come a little bit later when we get into the topic of death. Okay. So in the last few weeks, when I was here, we were talking about how to rely on a spiritual mentor, remember? And so we talked about the qualities of a qualified Mahayana spiritual mentor, the qualities of a disciple that we want to try and generate within ourselves. We talked about the benefits that come from relying on a qualified mentor and the disadvantages that accrue from trashing our teacher and, getting angry and cutting off the relationship. Okay? And then we also talked about how to develop confidence or convictional faith in our teacher. And the reason we want to do this is because if we have convictional faith, it benefits us. Okay? Because then we will listen to the teachings with more attention. Yeah? And so this involves, really respecting our teacher and seeing their qualities, so that we take the teachings that they're teaching us seriously. If we see our teacher as ordinary Joe Blow, who gets angry and, everything like that, then we don't have any respect. And then when our teacher teaches us the Dharma, we go, well, what does that person know? Because our mind is just very involved with picking faults at them and criticizing them and, finding out what is going wrong. And as we all know, we all have advanced degrees in criticizing and picking faults, don't we? Yeah. We're very talented at judging other people. Put a person before us, we'll come up with dozens of opinions. Yeah. In fact, you don't even have to wait. If you ever need an opinion, ask me. I'll give you an opinion. Yeah? Don't have to wait. I'll give you 2 opinions. They may even contradict each other. It doesn't matter. My opinion factory, my judgment factory is working 24/7. Yeah, and so that kind of attitude, when it's directed towards the person who is trying to guide us on the path, becomes a hindrance to us to practice the path, because then we don't pay attention to the teachings and we don't practice them, Okay? So we try and develop some kind of confidence and trust in our spiritual mentor. Then the next section that we're going to talk about is developing not just convictional trust and faith, from seeing their qualities, but developing, the texts always translate this as respect, but I think it's more appreciation and gratitude by contemplating their kindness towards us. Yeah? I don't know about you. Usually if somebody's kind towards me, I feel appreciation and gratitude. Yeah, I feel respect more when I see their qualities. So I'm not sure about the translations of the terms here. Okay? So in the text, what it says to do is visualize clearly the spiritual mentors in the space before you, like we were doing, okay? And then think, here it's talking about these spiritual mentors. What that means is that we can have more than one spiritual mentor. Yeah, we aren't limited to just one. There's usually one who is our principal teacher, but we can have many of them because we need to study and learn many different topics. Yeah, and so we may go to different teachers for different kind of advice, different kinds of teachings. Sometimes if our principal teacher is very busy, maybe they have a lot of students, so we can't get in to see them very often, so then we create a closer relationship with another one of our teachers who we can get in to see and ask questions. Okay, so here we think, these spiritual mentors have been very kind to me. If I have understood the profound path that easily confers supreme liberation, ending all the sufferings of cyclic existence and those of the lower realms, and confers complete, perfect, and precious Buddhahood, it is due to these spiritual mentors' kindness. Okay, in other words, if I know anything at all about the path, it's due to the kindness of my spiritual mentors. Guru Deity, please inspire me and all Mother sentient beings, so that from the awareness of these spiritual mentors' kindness, great veneration, appreciation, and gratitude for them may easily arise in us. So we're making that kind of request. And then in response to your requesting the Guru Deity, 5-colored light and nectar stream from all parts of the Buddha's body. So we can think of the Buddha on our head, but we're also visualizing the spiritual mentors in front of us. It could come from them as well. And it streams from all parts of the Buddha's body into us through the crown of our head. It absorbs into your body and mind and into those of all sentient beings, purifying all negativities and obscurations accumulated since beginningless time, and especially purifying all illnesses, spirit interferences, negativities, and obscurations that interfere with having great veneration, appreciation, and gratitude for these spiritual mentors, for those feelings to easily arise in you from being aware of their kindness. By the light and nectar streaming into you, your body becomes translucent, the nature of light, and all your good qualities, lifespan, merit, and so forth expand and increase. Think in particular that in you and others, the realization of great veneration, appreciation, and gratitude for these spiritual masters has easily arisen from the awareness of their kindness. Okay? So you make that requesting verse, and then you do the visualization as part of your meditation. Okay? And then the points you meditate on, okay, to do this meditation, the points that you do some checking meditation or analysis on to develop the loving respect, appreciation, and gratitude of our mentor's kindness, and the beneficial effects that our mentors have had on us. So the points are the following. So first, it says their kindness exceeds that of the Buddha. Now you might go, what? How can the kindness of my spiritual mentor exceed the kindness of the Buddha? Because without the Buddha, we wouldn't have the Dharma, we wouldn't have anything. Yeah. So what does it mean that their kindness is greater than that of the Buddha? What it means here is that we didn't have the karma to be born at the time of the Buddha. We didn't have the karma to hear the teachings directly from the Buddha. Yeah. And so because of our karma, we didn't have the ability to receive so much, the direct benefit from the Buddha. So in these degenerate times, our teachers are the ones who help us learn the teachings. They're the ones that connect us with the Buddha's teachings. Okay. So I struggled with this point quite a bit for many, many years. And, trying to understand it. And then it was very interesting. Sometimes things click when you least expect it to. So we were driving in the car in Bangalore, and the man from the center in Bangalore was taking us to the train station, and he said, correct me if I don't remember, he said, who do you appreciate more, the person who taught you the alphabet or the person who invented the alphabet? And I said, the person who taught me the alphabet. Yeah, because if nobody taught me the alphabet, I wouldn't know how to read, I wouldn't know anything. Yeah, and all of a sudden at that moment, it clicked. Okay, the person who immediately benefits us, is kind to us in a way that, the Buddha who gave all of the teachings, or the person who invented the alphabet, yeah, who also, we owe an incredible debt of gratitude to. But the person who actually teaches us and connects us helps us in a way that other person can't or hasn't. Okay, so does that make some sense to you? Okay. Oops. So that's the first thing, to really think that their kindness exceeds that of the Buddha, in the sense that we didn't have the opportunity to study directly with the Buddha. Then think about their kindness to teach us the Dharma, and the fact that they don't make us undergo great hardships to get the teachings. Yeah. Now we may think, oh, but it's so hard. I have to drive a half an hour across town to get the teachings. This is hardship, you know. If we really think about it, you know, if you think what the early Tibetans had to do to get the teachings, crossing the Himalaya mountains, going down into the plains of India to find teachers and request them to come back to Tibet. In Chinese Buddhism, they have the whole story of Xuanzang and his journey across the Gobi Desert and the Karakoram Mountains and into, you know, the plains of India to get the teachings. And then, you know, he went with so many other, you know, monks, and most of whom who died on the journey. And then he walked, you know, all the way back with sutras, you know, on his backpack. If we really think of what, you know, the people of old had to do to get teachings, going into a totally different country, a different climate, a different language, and really how dangerous it was to travel in those days. You know, you didn't just get on a plane. You know, you had to walk or ride an animal, and there were bandits and diseases and weather things and crossing big mountains and so on. So those people really went through hardship to get the teachings. In comparison, you know, we're like spoiled brats, aren't we? You know, it's so easy for us. You just kind of show up at the Dharma Center. The people who are listening online, you know, oh, you have to drive a half an hour to get to the place where the group is meeting, and then you have to press a button, you know, or a few buttons to get online. Yeah. So, you know, but really thinking of the kindness of the teachers in teaching us, because they don't have to. And I know when I was meditating on this, you know, I was thinking that I initially met my teachers in the U.S. My teachers were Tibetan refugees, and although I had been to Nepal and India before, I didn't meet them there. I met them in Los Angeles and went to a retreat. And then, you know, they set up a whole series of centers in the West. And I was thinking, you know, they could have stayed in India, in Nepal, with their peers in the monastery, eating the food that they like, not the food that we give them. Yeah, one of my teachers, when we served salad, he said, "This is rabbit food." You know, so they could have stayed having the food they like with their friends, not having to learn another language, be in a foreign country, dealing with all of us who had no clue what a spiritual mentor was, you know. And we just kind of showed up, and it's like, okay, you know, we're here. Aren't you glad we're here? Teach us, you know. And then they did. So, you know, and you just think that they didn't have to do that. And what they went through, you know, traveling to other countries, you know, because I know what I go through when I have to travel. My whole body's out of whack. You know, I don't know when to sleep. My digestion goes nuts. So, but they put up with all of that to come and teach us, and how kind that is. And then we kind of sit there in the teachings, and, you know, when they tell good stories, we listen, we laugh. When they talk about something else, we just... Yeah, and they still keep on teaching, even we're falling asleep. Yeah, sometimes they teach a topic that really presses our buttons, and we just get up and leave the room. It's like, why are they talking about self-centered mind? Are they accusing me of being selfish? I'm not selfish. We get a little bit defensive. Yeah, when you think of what they put up with in order to teach us, it's really something, you know. So that's a great kindness for us to be aware of. Okay, and then third is their kindness to inspire us by teaching us and even criticizing us. So we can receive inspiration by many different means, you know. A lot of our inspiration comes from receiving the teachings. But, you know, if we really see how our teacher guides us, a lot of our inspiration can come from when they, you know, point out our faults too. Yeah, even though we don't like it. It's like, you're only supposed to say nice things about me, Guru. You know, I don't want to hear any nasty things about me. I only want to hear nice things. What's our teacher supposed to do then? Yeah, we're acting obnoxiously and they're supposed to say, oh, you're wonderful. Because that's all we want to hear. Okay? So, you know, they do inspire us by many different means if we're open to it. You know, sometimes they put us in very difficult situations. That's what my teachers, the standard thing they do with me. It's like, okay, let's find a difficult situation and let's put her in there and see what happens. Sink or swim. Yeah, so they often guide me by that means. Okay, they're kind. And then the fourth way is their kindness to include us in their circle of disciples, and to provide us with the requisites. So especially if you're a monastic, you know, the teacher who ordains you is responsible for, you know, making sure you have a place to stay, and clothing, and shelter, and food, and medicine. Yeah. Show their kindness in doing that, their kindness in including us in the circle of disciples instead of telling us to get the heck out of here when we're acting obnoxious. Yeah. Their kindness in giving us precepts. Yeah, we can't take precepts on our own. We have to take precepts from somebody. So they give us our, you know, the 5 lay precepts, our monastic precepts, bodhisattva precepts, tantric precepts and commitments. Yeah, they teach us, they give us the transmissions, yeah, the oral transmissions. Some of our teachers give us empowerment and so on. So to really appreciate that they do that for us, and to really be aware that, you know, the more we show up and participate, you know, with a good motivation from our side, then the closer we make the bond between us and our spiritual mentors. And that bond is something of utmost importance because, you know, if you have a really good teacher, you want to make sure, you know, we want to make sure that we meet that same teacher in the future life. You know, we don't want to meet Charlatananda in a future life. Yeah, you know Charlatananda? Yeah, you had an experience with Charlatananda. So, you know, it's really important to have that good relationship so that it will continue into future lives. Okay? So you meditate on those 4 points to increase our sense of gratitude. So to review them, their kindness exceeds that of the Buddha. Their kindness in teaching us the Dharma, not making us go through hardships to get the teachings. Their kindness in inspiring us, even if it means pointing out our faults and dealing with us when we're rebellious and difficult to be with. and their kindness in including us in their circle of disciples, giving us requisites, and also giving us precepts and initiations, oral transmissions, and so forth. Okay? So really to contemplate that. Then the next point, it says how to rely on them indeed. Okay, so, in practice, how do we rely on our spiritual mentors? So here we'll see the same kind of structure, that we visualize the spiritual mentors before us. There's a verse that we recite that kind of outlines the feeling that we want to generate, or the thing that we want to become aware of. We ask them to inspire our mind so that we can understand that and gain that experience. And then we do the visualization of the light and nectar coming. Okay? So here in this case, for the point of how to rely on our spiritual mentors indeed, for the sake of these spiritual mentors who are true Buddhas, I will give my body, life, belongings, and so forth without hesitation, and I will especially please them with the offering of practicing according to their words. Guru Deity, please inspire me to do so. Okay. In response to your requesting the Guru Deity, 5-colored light and nectar stream from all parts of his or her body into you through the crown of your head. It absorbs into your mind and body and those of all sentient beings, purifying all negativities and obscurations accumulated since beginningless time, and especially purifying all illnesses, spirit interferences, negativities, and obscurations that interfere with delighting the spiritual mentor by means of the 3 kinds of pleasing actions. Your body becomes translucent, the nature of light. All your good qualities, lifespan, merit, and so forth expand and increase. Think in particular that you and others gain the realization of delighting the spiritual mentors by means of the 3 kinds of pleasing actions, that has arisen in you and in them. Okay, so here what we think, there's 3, when they talk about the 3 ways of pleasing the spiritual mentor, or the 3 ways of practicing, in action, of actively, caring for our teacher. Because the previous point, cultivating respect and gratitude, is what we do in our meditation session. This is what we do, in daily life. So first is to make offerings of material things. So we, offer material things, or money, or, whatever it is. And the reason for this is that our spiritual mentor, because of the role they play in our life, is a very powerful object with which we create karma, because the relationship with our spiritual mentor is a very precious one, that I was saying it's going to go beyond this life into future lives. And so if to show our appreciation, to create very strong positive karma, then we use the practice of making offerings to the teachers and to the Buddhas to create that strong karma with those who are very powerful objects of the creation of karma for us. Okay? So it benefits us, tremendously to do this. It also helps us overcome miserliness and attachment. It, helps us learn to have a generous heart that likes giving and sharing. So it's a very good practice. It's when we make offerings to our teachers, we really have to give. And this is practice for making offerings to anybody. We really, when we give, we relinquish the object without any expectation of something in return. Yeah. If we give and we're expecting to gain our teacher's favor and, get all sorts of perks because we're very generous, that's bribery, isn't it? We're essentially bribing the teacher. Look, I gave you a big offering. Now, are you going to invite me to dinner? Do I get to sit in the front row? Do I get to drive you around? Can I have my picture taken in you? Will you tell people what a good disciple I am? Yeah, we're bribing, aren't we? Okay, so we can't have any sense of wanting something in return when we give. We just give to express our respect and generosity and create merit. And our teacher will often give us opportunities to check to see if our motivation is really pure or not. Okay, so in my case, this was many years ago, so I was in Dharamsala, and I had gotten some brocade cloth, and I had the idea to make some book covers for my teacher. So I hand-stitched the brocade cloth. I didn't have a sewing machine or anything. So I made a few book covers, hand-stitched them and everything, and made them really pretty because I was giving them to my teacher. And so I went in, and I had an appointment with my teacher, and so I offered the book covers, and he accepted them. And we had the appointment, and I left, and then I was, out in the garden after that. And another geshe came in to see my teacher, after me. And when that geshe left, he was carrying the book covers that I had given to my teacher. Yeah? And so it was like, okay, what was my motivation? Did I give with a pure motivation and completely give these to him so that he could do whatever he wanted with them? Yeah? Or was I feeling hurt, like, oh, you didn't like the book covers I gave you, so you gave them away to somebody else? Or, kind of our mind can really make up a lot of fabricated stories, can't it? Yeah? And so that really tests, what was the purity of my motivation? Was I bribing? Was I looking for special perks? Or was I really just giving, with a free mind? Okay? So our we often get many kind of opportunities like that. Okay, so offering material is one. Then the second is paying respect, circumambulating our teacher's house, offering prostrations, usual signs of respect. So usually if you have an appointment with your teacher to talk about your practice, when you go in, you make prostrations, you sit on the floor, you can offer a kata, you may bring an offering or whatever. You don't just kind of stroll in and plop yourself down. Yeah. So the second way is by paying respect and also by offering service. Yeah, because our teachers are usually involved in a lot of virtuous projects and they need help. They can't do everything themselves. Yeah, and so when we volunteer to offer service, then we're helping our teachers to help sentient beings. So there's many ways to offer service. Sometimes you prepare a meal, sometimes you clean the room, sometimes you're organizing different Dharma events. Sometimes you're, counseling other disciples. There's many kinds of things that you do to offer service to your teacher, simply because, your teacher can't be everywhere at once, and they need help in benefiting sentient beings. Okay? So our teachers often will ask us to do different things, and, if we're asked, we should really do what we can to to fulfill that. If we absolutely can't do it, then it's good to excuse ourselves and explain why we can't do it. And that's much better than saying, I will do it, and then not doing it. Okay, so if we can't do it, do something to really be honest, about it. But to see offering service as part of our practice, again, as a way to create merit. Yeah, so many different things to do. Sometimes our teachers ask us to do different things and we grumble, don't we? I don't want to do that. I don't want to clean this room. I don't want to go there. I don't want to work on this project with that person. Yeah. And, when we have that kind of grumbling attitude, we're really missing out on again, creating a lot of merit by offering service to a person who's benefiting sentient beings and who is an especially strong object of merit for us. Okay? So, we self-sabotage a lot with our negative mind. Okay, and then the third way of practicing in action is to practice, to put the teachings in practice. So whatever our teacher has instructed us to do, to really do it, to take the teachings to heart, put them into practice, do the practices, yeah? They often, when teachers teach this point, they say, just follow your teacher's instructions, whatever they say. But, we need to have a bit of wisdom in doing this. So it's not that we become like mindless robots and, compete with other students in order to follow the instructions of the teacher. So, His Holiness here gives the example of Tilopa, one of the great Indian sages. He told his disciple Naropa to jump off a roof. Yeah. And Naropa, who was highly realized, did. And he fell down and he broke all of his bones. And Tilopa, who was highly realized, healed him afterwards. Okay, so this is a special kind of situation. Yeah? If the teacher is highly realized and the student's highly realized, then it makes sense to follow those kind of instructions. Yeah, but if you aren't highly realized and your teacher may not be, then it's better you just excuse yourself, okay? So, we don't get into some kind of craziness about this. And Marpa, again, a very realized practitioner, told his disciple Milarepa, because if you've read the story of Milarepa, Marpa really treated Milarepa, really gave it to him. Milarepa would show up at teachings and Marpa would say, get the out of here, and Marpa would tell him to build this 9-story tower, and he built it, and then Marpa came along and said, that stone at the bottom isn't in the right place, take it down and do it again. So we had to take the 9-story tower made of stone again, and he didn't have, equipment and things like that to do that. So this is something that's in the realm that's difficult for us to understand because these are highly realized beings. Yeah, and so we try and practice on a more reasonable level. Our teacher says, please organize an event, and yes, that's something I can do without jumping off a building or, tearing down a building or, something like that. So we do that. Yeah, so Marpa told Milarepa, never treat your students like I treated you or the way the great Naropa treated me. Such practices should not be continued in the future. Yeah? Because it's very difficult to have students and disciples of that kind of caliber. And I say this especially because there have been times where there has been scandals in the Buddhist community where a teacher has given a student some kind of questionable instruction, and the student very blindly said, oh, I've got to do everything my teacher says, and they must be the Buddha, so they go ahead and do it. Okay? For example, I had one young woman come to me, and she had been to see actually this one very well-known and well-respected teacher, and he, she had taken a class from him and so on, and then paid him a visit, and then he asked her to come in the evening, to visit him alone in his room, and she did not feel comfortable doing it. And so she didn't go, but she felt very conflicted. And she said to me, did I do the right thing in not going? He asked me to go, but I did not feel comfortable going alone as a woman into his room, But she felt like she was really doubting herself. And I said, by all means you did the right thing. Yeah, if you don't feel comfortable, you follow, your gut feeling, and you do what you need to do to be safe. Okay? So, so all of this, it has to be in the context of, with disciples at, I don't know about your level, but my level, kind of something reasonable. Yeah, I'm not Milarepa. I'm not Marpa. Okay. Okay, so those are the things to meditate on there. Like I said, those 3 points are the way we behave towards our teacher. But it's good to do some meditation first to try and understand them and how to actually carry them out. Okay? Then the next point in the outline, we've just been going through how to do the meditation session with the example of how to meditate on relying on the spiritual mentor. So that's why the next point is what to do to conclude the session. Because remember, we went through the preliminaries, which was the meditation we did at the beginning of the session, then through the actual meditation, which we just got through with the points, and then what you do to conclude. And so this structure of preliminaries, actual meditation, and conclusion is going to be the same for all the future Lamrim points and topics that we come across. Okay, so here the text says, while meditating with the Guru deity on your head, request him, recite mantras, and with intense aspiration, dedicate the virtue created from the above to the fulfillment of your own and others' temporary and ultimate goals. Okay, so we do the Guru deity, Buddha is on the crown of our head. We meditate on those points. Well, first of all, we request them, and we recited mantra. Then we meditated on those points. Yeah, and then at the end of the meditation session, we dedicate the virtue. Usually, actually, at the end of the meditation session, we make another request to the Buddha, and then we imagine the Buddha dissolving into light and flowing down into us and merging into our heart. Yeah, and then after that, we dedicate the merit by any of the dedication verses that we have. Okay. And then the next point in the outline is what to do between meditation sessions. So between sessions, read canonical, and I can never say this word, as exegetic. Am I saying it right? Exegetic works. Okay, so explanatory works, interpretive, works that are explaining the sutras, and the shastras. So those works that explain how to rely on spiritual mentors, how to rely on mindfulness and interest. Okay, so you read those texts on how to rely on spiritual mentors. So whatever meditation you're doing, in the break time you read the texts that explain it, because then that helps reinforce what you're doing in your session, and then the next time you sit down to do the session, you have, more things to think about. Then also in the break time, rely on mindfulness and introspective awareness to control the doors of the senses. So here mindfulness means being aware of our precepts, being aware that we don't want to let our sense doors, our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, tactile sensations go out of whack. Mindfulness means remembering, holding our mind on the way we want to be. And introspective awareness means to check up from time to time to see if we're actually doing that. So in the break time, it's very important to be mindful and have that introspective awareness, and not to say, okay, done with the meditation session, let's see what's the movie that I can go watch, and let's see, shall I go gambling or go drinking? What can I do? Have a little fun now that I did my meditation. So if you have that kind of attitude, you're not going to get so far in your practice, Okay, then eat with moderation. So don't overeat. And strive at the yoga of no sleep. And when you do sleep, do so in the proper manner. Okay? Very rare. One of my teachers, actually, I know doesn't sleep at all, and others I suspect don't. But most of us need some sleep. What they usually recommend is to sleep 4 hours in the middle of the night, but most people can't do even that. But we should try and not just collapse in bed and sleep hour after hour after hour, because our whole precious human life is going by, and we're not accomplishing anything. So get the sleep that you need, but don't sleep too much, and see if you can just reduce the amount you need to sleep a little bit. Not a whole lot. Just try, reducing it by 15 minutes, let's say, and see if you can just, by training your body, sleep 15 minutes less. So that can be really good, and you can get an idea of what you can do and what you can't do, and of course each night will be different, but not to spend our whole life just unconscious sleeping. Our body needs to rest, our mind needs to rest, to keep healthy, but let's not oversleep and think, because death is approaching moment by moment, isn't it? Okay. And then to sleep in the proper manner, best is if you can lie on your right side with your hand under your cheek, and your left hand along the side of your body. That's the position. It's called the lion pose that the Buddha lay in when he passed away and attained parinirvana. So, again, try and sleep in that manner. It says that it helps the flow of the energy in your body, and they say when it comes time to die, it's good if you can die in that position too. Sleeping on your belly is the worst. Because you're just like, you're kind of like a sea otter, just on your belly. So, really try and avoid that. And if you have, strange dreams and all, you might see what position you're lying in sometimes, because that could factor into having, being very restless or having strange dreams or whatever. Okay, and then you should energetically practice the yogas of washing and eating as well. We will energetically practice the yoga of eating, won't we? What this means is to offer the food before we eat it. And then when we're eating it, think that we are eating this blissful wisdom nectar. Imagine the Buddha at our heart, and we're offering blissful wisdom nectar to the Buddha at our heart. He radiates light, and that fills our body. Okay, and really stopping to contemplate the food and contemplate the kindness of others and so on before we eat. And then the yoga of washing is, when you're in the shower, to think that all of this is the light and nectar coming from the Buddha. And, it's not just washing the outside of your body, but washing the inside of your body. And again, purifying all the negativities, bringing with inspiration and all the realizations. Yeah. And in general, in the break time, whenever you're cleaning or doing something like that, to think that you are eliminating the afflictions and the polluted karma from the minds of sentient beings. When you're pulling knapweed or chopping down trees, then you think that you're cutting off the self-centered mind, or cutting off the continuum of ignorance. So there's many different things, ways to think. When you go upstairs, you think, I'm leading all sentient beings to awakening. When you go downstairs, you think, I'm happy to go into the lower realms to benefit sentient beings. Yeah, with compassion. So in all these different ways, you try and bring the Dharma into what you're doing in your daily life. Okay. So, I think we have some time for questions now, if people have questions. We'll see if any of the people online write questions. Yeah? Well, light is light and nectar is fluid. So you just imagine, Yeah. Especially when you have, if you have your inner winds are disturbed, it's very good to especially concentrate on nectar flowing through you, because nectar is rich, it's heavier, and you think, that just fills you up. It's kind of like milk, the texture of milk, like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Here we're doing it through our crown chakra down, or through all the pores of our body into the inside of our body, and again down. The only time we do the thing of filling up is when we're doing the Vajrasattva. Yeah, otherwise the nectar and light are coming always from the top down or through the pores of our body. In the Vajrasattva practice, then, visualizing it from top down is purifying the body, visualizing it entering, here it enters you again from the top, but fills you up from the bottom, and that's purifying speech. But in all of these, the nectar and light is entering you from the upper part of your body, not from the bottom of your body. Okay? Mm-hmm.
For housewives doing washing and cooking, how can they apply the practices to food activities?
Oh, well, you're cooking to make a feast for all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Yeah, you are washing and cleaning to, purify your own and others' defilements and negative karma and anger and resentment and so on. Okay? And you can also ask your husband to help create merit in that way too. You don't want to deny him of the ability of creating merit by cleaning and cooking. Okay. Yeah?
It's true that we are getting teachings on a book without a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also using up merit.
Mm-hmm.
To get it so easy compared to the way other people do.
Okay. And so your question is?
Instead of using up merit, is there a way of making sure that we're not
Okay.
wasting?
Okay. So in order to get the teachings, we're kind of getting them on a golden platter without a lot of effort. Yeah. And so this is consuming a lot of the merit that we created in previous lives. It's ripening in our ability to get the teachings. And so your question is, how can we make this something more than just the ripening of our good karma and the exhaustion of our good karma? Yeah, to make it something more, that's why you have to practice. Yeah, because it's through putting the teachings in practice that we again create merit. Okay? Making offerings, offering service, doing the practices as we're instructed, developing respect and convictional faith, developing gratitude. If you're doing this meditation, if you're doing another meditation, really going through the points and trying to generate the experience of them, trying in your daily life to be aware of the Lamrim meditations and adjust your behavior accordingly. So that you abandon non-virtue and create virtue. Yeah, that's the way to make it something more than just consuming our merit from the past. Mm-hmm.
At work, where we are overwhelmed with emails and analysis, how do we apply our practice at work? How can we also
delete. So you're overwhelmed by emails and stuff at work. Only read the emails that are important that you have to read. Only respond to the ones that really require a response. I mean, I know that's what I have to do because I have a ton of email. If I answered each one, I'd never be able to write books. I'd never be able to teach because I'd just be doing email all day. So then I just answer the ones that are important, and if people don't get a response from me and they're unhappy, there's nothing much I can do except, hopefully they will ask themselves, what were they expecting? Yeah. So, it's a thing of setting priorities. Yeah. So if you have too much email, my thing is, if you're receiving too much email, don't send so much, because the more you send, the more you're going to get. Okay, and then just set priorities with what is important. And when you are doing your email, the ones that are important and that have a purpose, really do it with an attitude of compassion for the other person instead of, oh God, this is the 50th email today, complain. Just think, okay, I will respond succinctly with a motivation of compassion in a way that will benefit this person. Yeah? So, sometimes it can be very helpful when you turn on your computer, when you're waiting for it to come on or you're waiting for it to download something, use that as a time to come back to bodhicitta and regenerate your bodhicitta motivation. Mm-hmm.
And for students going through exams, how can we advise them on how to practice?
For a student going through exams, how can you advise them how to practice? Relax. Yeah? Relax, don't worry about the exam, just, do the study you have to do. Don't wait until the last minute and try and cram it in. When you do study before, say the Manjushri mantra, Om Arapatana D. That can be very helpful. And then think, I'm going to take my exam for the benefit of sentient beings. And, you just do the exam with a relaxed mind. Yeah? Exams are not the beginning of the world, and they're not the end of the world. Uh-huh.
When visualizing nectar and light purifying other sentient beings, does it actually benefit them, or does it just benefit our own mind?
Okay, so when we visualize light and nectar, going into all the sentient beings around us, does it actually benefit them, or does it just benefit us? It's hard to say, because even if it benefited just us, it would indirectly benefit them. Because let's say we're doing this for somebody that we're having a hard time getting along with, and we imagine them filled with the light and nectar from the Buddha, then it becomes easier for us to forgive that person and to have compassion for them. Then we behave differently towards them, then that's going to benefit them. Okay? And, it could benefit them directly. I mean, there's lots of ways in which people benefit each other that are maybe ways where we don't understand the exact dependent arising that's going on. Yeah, but it never hurts.
Someone had a question about what if you are practicing dream yoga and disturbing experience?
What if you're practicing dream yoga and you're having disturbing experience? Well, to practice dream yoga, you should have had a tantric initiation, be doing the 6-session guru yoga, keeping the tantric precepts and the bodhisattva precepts, and have had instruction on doing the dream yoga and how to do it properly. So if you've had that and you're doing dream yoga and you're having a disturbing experience, then go to the teacher who taught you that and explain what's happening. If you haven't been doing all those practices and requirements and keeping the vows and commitments and so on, then maybe you need to build a stronger foundation in your practice before you start doing advanced practices like dream yoga. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, so how do we know we're truly in front of a true spiritual master so that we can rely wholeheartedly on that person? We went through the qualities of a fully qualified Mahayana master. So you think about those qualities, and then before you make a guru-disciple relationship with that person, you spend some time observing them. And you see if they have these qualities or not. They may not have all 10. It's very difficult to find somebody with all 10 qualities. But if you see they have some of the qualities, and that their teachings are really benefiting you, and they keep good ethical conduct and so on, and they have a sense of joy and they're teaching with compassion, then you can trust them, So the main thing here is we don't just show up and the person who's speaking regarding who's speaking as our own spiritual mentor. Just because somebody is a Dharma teacher doesn't mean they have to be our Dharma teacher. So, Maitreya taught these different qualifications. And sometimes if you're looking for a Vinaya master, then there's the different qualifications for a Vinaya master, different ones for a Mahayana master, different ones for a Tantric master. And so you get to know the teacher, you check things out, you watch the dynamics of the group, of people that they teach. Yeah, and through checking things out and observing, then you make your own decision. Okay? Is it important to know the lineage of the teacher? What do you mean exactly? Okay. You want to know where the teachings are coming from, so you want to follow a teacher who has a good relationship with their teacher and their teacher and their teacher, and the lineage goes back to the Buddha. Okay? So you want to know the lineage in that respect, that it's actually something that the Buddha taught. It's not something that somebody made up last weekend and is charging $99.99 as a special bargain to you this week. Okay? Yeah. But that person has actually studied with a reliable teacher and has studied the scriptures and has understood them correctly and so on. Okay? So in that way, yes, it is. There are some Dharma teachers who are controversial and Dharma groups that are controversial, and so it's good to be very careful about those kinds of things. I would say not, if they're controversial, don't get involved. Although I know some people that if it's controversial, they go for it. I can't figure it out. Yeah, does that answer your question okay? Yeah? Within the four Tibetan traditions and within all of the different Buddhist traditions, you can have teachers from different lineages. That's no problem, because all of us take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. But you do want to make sure that, whatever teacher and whatever lineage you're following, that they actually know their stuff. Yeah, and that they have a good motivation and good ethical conduct, because they're your role model. If the teacher is acting in a way that you think is pretty weird, then you may not want to consider them as your teacher, because that person's going to be your role model, and if they're acting in a way that's weird, then you're probably going to start acting in a way that's weird. Yeah? I had one person one time, one city I was teaching in, there was another person who, though there's always different Dharma centers. So there was this one person who, the teacher was drinking a lot, and sometimes he would pass out on the sidewalk. And I met someone who was going to this person's teachings and really liked him, but came to me and said, I really appreciate that you keep good ethical conduct. And I said, thank you. I thought it was nice that they appreciated that. But I was wondering, just from my own side, if I saw my teacher passed out drunk on the sidewalk, that would definitely influence how I felt about their ability to guide me. Yeah? So I didn't quite understand what this other person was looking for. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there any requirement for a teacher to require their students to take precepts?
So is there any requirement that a teacher requires their students to take precepts? You always take precepts voluntarily. A teacher never tells you you must take precepts. Yeah. If you want to take an initiation, then you must take precepts, but you're choosing to take that initiation. Yeah, and that's just part of the package. But nobody says to you, you have to take this level of precepts, you have to do that. A good teacher hopefully will lead you so that you yourself see the value of different levels of precepts or whatever, so that you voluntarily choose to take them. Okay? Uh-huh.
So how do you think online instruction is changing the nature of student relationship? And what part does the Dharmakaya play in online teaching?
How do I think that the internet, online teaching is changing the nature of the student-teacher relationship? I think it changes it a lot. First of all, I personally think you need to have personal contact with somebody to actually make that person your teacher. Because otherwise the teacher doesn't even know you. I mean, sometimes, like His Holiness, he's teaching all these people, he doesn't know everyone individually, but he can see all of them, and they're in the same space, so that teacher-student relationship can be formed. But if you can't even see the person, you guide as well as you can by putting the teachings out there. But I think, personally speaking, I think there has to be, you at some point have to go to where your teacher is and take live teachings. Yeah. And I say this because it's a radically different experience hearing teachings live than it is over the internet. Yeah. You usually listen to these series at home. Is it different from you listening at home to being here?
Yeah.
Yeah, how is it different?
I think that there's just more interaction, and then also, pay attention probably better here.
So there's more interaction, you pay attention better. Yeah, it's easier online, you get up and, go make a cup of tea while the teachings are going on. You lie down online, whatever. When you're in the presence of somebody, when you're in a teaching situation, there's a certain energy that's created. Of course, if you already have a student-teacher relationship with somebody and you're living far away from your teacher, then listening online is you still have the teacher-student relationship because you have met the teacher directly, and there is that relationship, and if they know that you're listening online, then that may be even better. Yeah. But I think, it's like, I've read articles of people falling in love online. Yeah. They email each other and they fall in love through email, or they Skype each other and fall in love through Skype. But then they get together and it's like, who is this person? It's totally different being in front of a person. Yeah. So again, if you're already friends with somebody and then you do a Skype call or email, it's different. But I think it's good, because this is one of the things we have to make an effort. Yeah, in our Dharma practice, and to form a relationship with the teacher, and the more we make an effort, the more valuable that Dharma, the Dharma that we hear becomes. Yeah? So if you have to, go out to the movies less, or have less lattes, fewer lattes, or not buy as many pairs of Nike shoes so that you can save your money to go to where your Dharma teacher is and have that personal connection, by going through the incredible hardship that entails, it strengthens your character and it makes you value the Dharma more, And while you're giving up your latte or your Nike shoes, you can think of what Swatsang did in order to get the teachings, or what Marpa and Milarepa did in order to get the teachings. Yeah? And it gives you something. Yeah, my story of what I had to do is, because I met the Dharma in 1975, there were hardly any Dharma centers in the U.S. at that time. Hardly anything. So I had to quit my job and go to Nepal to receive more Dharma teachings. Yeah, I went halfway around the world. And I was so glad I did. And I think, the fact that I had to go through some hardship really made me value the teachings and value the teacher.
It's also necessary, I think, in the context of developing a spiritual relationship with the teacher to apply the lesson.
What do you mean?
For example, you pointed out like practicing generosity or ethical conduct, but also deepens the bond with the teacher.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so part of the thing of how to rely on us as a spiritual teacher through our actions is practicing according to the instructions. So you're saying especially practicing the 6 far-reaching practices. Yeah, and for sure, that's what strengthens your bond with the teacher, is when you practice what they're teaching, because when your teacher is teaching you the Dharma, they're telling you what they're doing in their own mind. Okay? So if you practice what they tell you they're doing in their own mind, then your mind is going to become like their mind. So that's how you get close to your teacher. Yeah? You get close to your teacher by making your mind have the same Dharma understandings that your teacher's mind has. Yeah, so being close to the teacher doesn't mean that you're trotting around after them like a little puppy dog, Yeah, please pat me on the head and give me a blessing. It's, you're really trying to put the teachings in practice.